I'm engaged. How do I get married? I'm your host, Kevin Dennis. In addition to leading the charge at Wedding IQ, I also run Fantasy Sound Event Services, a lighting and entertainment company based in Livermore, California, that I founded over 35 years ago. Each week on this podcast, we'll explore a new corner of the wedding planning so you can prepare for your I-dos without the stress. From budgeting to booking vendors to day of drama, let's talk smart wedding planning. All right, well, welcome to the very last episode of Now That I'm Engaged, How Do I Get Married for 2024. This is our last one. Oh, it didn't work. I tried to blow the horn. Thank you. August did it for us.
I did it very quietly.
All right, we're ready to go. So this one, August and I decided that it would be really fun to do a recap of the year. So first off, before we get going, August, I want to thank you for coming on this journey with me of, the Now That I'm Engaged, How Do I Get Married? And thank you for stepping up to be our co-host. So we were having a lot of fun doing this, and we have a lot of fun talking about the podcast outside of the podcast. So we say the word podcast in our office quite a bit. It's a lot of fun, but thank you. It was, I think, if for those of you that don't know, August arrived on the scene at Fantasy Sound in June, and it was just as the podcast was going to launch, and she's our brand manager. So she was the one that really pushes it over the edge. Also, if you follow us on Instagram, TikTok, any of that stuff, she's also the one that makes fun of me and makes me look old and silly.
Yeah.
And she gets paid to do it. I like that.
Yeah, it's the best job ever.
I know. So we went back through and looked at all our episodes. While we love all our episodes, our episodes are like my children. I don't have a favorite. Unless your name is Ava. But with that said, we have so many little nuggets, and we want to first off thank everyone that was part of the first year of Now That I'm Engaged, How Do I Get Married? But I want to first, I'll let you go first, because my favorite is going to be the fact, I'll start. I'm going to start, August. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, okay. You go start.
So when my daughter found out that we were doing a podcast, she wanted to be on the podcast. And I go, what do you know about weddings? I go, if you can come up with something about weddings, I'll let you on it. Literally a couple weeks went by, and she full on pitched me on the idea that she could come on the podcast and talk about kids at weddings. And so we, of course, August and I interviewed her, and it was a lot of fun. And I'm going to be honest with you, she knocked it out of the park. I thought she was going to be horrible, and we were going to have to cover her for the whole episode. I mean, she's only 10, but she did a great job, And so taking back, that was one of my, I love all the episodes but that was a lot of fun because it was extra special to me. But with that said, we were talking about kids at weddings. So what did we get out of that one, August? What do you think?
I had no idea that she pitched you the topic. That's awesome.
You did? Yeah.
No.
It was all her.
Wow. No, and honestly, I've told a lot of people about that episode, and vice versa, have heard a lot of people talk about that episode, not only because it's cute, but because I think like I said on the episode, there's no better perspective on kids at weddings than from a kid themselves.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool. But it was just kind of cool to see it through Ryan's eyes. Mm-hmm. Kind of takes you back to when you were a kid. And I think when I was a kid, I don't know if I attended a whole lot of weddings. I think I went to one of my cousin's weddings on a beach or something. And I remember the dancing part being my favorite, and us just, kept going up to the DJ to request stupid songs.
Oh, you're
and
one
the
of those.
Adults getting mad at us. Yeah. So Shirley Temple in hand, requesting songs. But no, I loved her take on it. And she had a lot of really great points. I know some of our highlights were having an outdoor space for kids, or just a designated area for them. And Ryan was a big fan of food. So she definitely got into all of her favorite foods during the episode,
mac and cheese. You got to have mac and cheese. That was one of the things that she made a big deal. She obviously went to a wedding and had mac and cheese, because that was one of the things she kept talking about. So that
it was immediate. Definitely on her mind.
And she obviously was very pro invite kids, even though that could be, again, the touchy subject. But she was also available for hire if you needed a kid or a flower girl or ring girl or whatever you need. She was available for hire.
Yeah, I believe she said $5,000, but then you said, no, Ryan, that's too much. And then she raised you $1 million.
Yes. So, but I'm sure for a good $50 or $100, you can have Ryan show up at your wedding as well. So anyway, but that was a lot of fun. But there was, I think the top 3 takeaways we took was balancing pros and cons of having kids at a wedding, practical tips for making weddings kid friendly. So we went through like the kids spaces, menus, even hiring an on-site childcare. We talked about that as well. And then effectively communication about your child policies, whether your wedding is kid friendly or not kid friendly. And so it's funny because looking back, my wedding was not kid friendly. I did not have kids at my wedding.
What did Ryan say?
Ryan would have been pissed off. But with that said, but it also pissed off a lot of our family as well. So, but we were working on space. So it was either X the kids or X some of our friends. So that's what a decision we had to make. So again, tough decisions that we had to do. So
yeah, and I think, if you're listening to this episode and you haven't listened to the kid episode yet, I think it is a good thing to do. Episode 5. Just because I think that was one of my biggest takeaways personally. And when I've heard about weddings in the past, it's always the communication aspect of if kids are allowed or not, right? Like, I feel like I've heard so many wedding horror stories or family dynamic issues because kids being there or not being there was not communicated effectively and feelings got hurt and vice versa. So I think that was definitely a big part of it. So if you are considering kids, episode 5 is a great listen.
Yep. Head on back. All right. Your turn now. Take us down an episode, girl.
All right. Well, not to go in order or anything, but I think episode 6 was one of my favorites only because it was our dog episode. We had all of our puppies there with us. So go check that one out on YouTube. But we had Miss Veronica from Perfect for You. She's a dog sitter for weddings and events. So it was really fun to have her on and talk through how to get married with your pup by your side and the logistics of having your dog at your wedding.
And it was awesome because our dogs were on screen with us for a good chunk of it. My 2 dum-dum boys weren't really into it, but
you had all 3 in the podcast studio. I
had all 3. Yeah, I had all 3 with me in the podcast studio. The 2 boys went in the chairs and slept and watched their sister take over, and she was the star of the show from representing my family. But yeah, but I as someone that is now a doodle owner, which I never would imagine me being a small dog doodle owner, but those dogs go everywhere with us. Not everywhere. We don't take them grocery shopping or do anything, but they literally, we go to my in-laws. We go, they go with me to drop off the girls to school. They are a major part of our family, where I thought Veronica's business is perfect because this is a way for people to bring their dog and really include their dog. Because nowadays dogs are like children, and so
1,000%.
Yeah. Mochi's your little guy, right?
Yeah. No, he's everything to me, which I think I said on the episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I can't imagine life without him. And yeah, if and when I do get married, I would really like to have my Mr. Mochi man by my side.
That's right. He'd be your best paw woman or man or whatever.
Yeah.
We'll come up with a title for him.
Yeah, but I think our key takeaways from that episode that we got from Veronica, which honestly, guys, go listen to that one too. It really was, there was a lot of good nuggets in there. But we talked about detailed planning when it comes to your dog and having contingency plans. So, something happens the day of, there's rain, things go unexpected, like having a plan B with your dog is always a good idea, especially based on their temperament or your venue's restrictions, just being realistic about those plans. And then, really consider getting a pet sitter. Perfect for You, they are out on the East Coast, right? Like Veronica said, she started in New York, I think, right?
Yep.
Yeah, but there's
she does travel.
she does travel, and there definitely are options similarly, I'm sure, in your area, or we're out in the Bay Area. And we also talked about just creative ways to incorporate your dogs into your ceremony, into your celebration. So having them there for the vows or cake cutting, or even just like walking down the aisle with you. Of course, all based on your venue's restrictions, but there's so many ways to incorporate them into your day.
I agree. That was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun doing that one. So,
And we need the dogs back, even if it's not a dog-related episode.
I know we really probably should have everyone bring their dog, because my dum-dums like to be part of it as well. So anyway, all right. Next episode that was a lot of fun was tips for choosing the right DJ. So speaking of dum-dums, we had Glenn and Norm with us, and they were right. That's a good segue.
Yeah.
But this was a lot of fun because I think August got to be the host of the show and interview the three of us. But it was funny because we just let our personalities come out. And so it just, it was, I don't know. I would say it was go ahead.
Well, Kevin, we talked about, and I'm sure maybe this isn't a very relatable comment, but Kevin and I were talking about earlier, listening back to episodes like in preparation for this, but just hating to hear the sound of your own voice.
Oh, yeah.
But that episode, I think you're right, Kevin. And again, like we said, podcast episodes are like our children. So we cannot pick a favorite one, but episode 8 with Glenn and Norm was definitely up there for me, one of my favorites. Because like you said, it was just so natural, so fun. Like we were all just goofing around, but still, spewing out a lot of really good information for couples when it comes to choosing your DJ. But it was a fun time. I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, no, and we were just silly. And I guess that's what I was trying to get out, is like, it was a fun, silly side of us, and we had a good time. And by request, I think Glenn and Norm are going to be back in 2025. We'll come up with another DJ topic and have them back, because one, we get some good B-roll footage out of it as well. But some of the top takeaways for tips for choosing your right DJ was prioritizing compatibility over music preferences, because that's one thing that, not every couple loves the same type of music, or they don't like the same kind of music as their family. So choosing, the right DJ that can work with all the music that you like, and impact the personality, so you had 3 kind of big personalities on that episode, really kind of going crazy. And then we kind of took everyone through kind of the DJ, the role on the day of, and how crazy, and all the different things that people, I don't think, realize that the DJ is either responsible for or has to take care of on the day of. So that was a fun one. Another one to go back and listen to.
Well, and specifically, I feel like I resonated a lot with Norm's top tip at the end of the episode. His top tip was, don't just hire your DJ through email. And I never thought about that before, because I know it's kind of a whirlwind during the planning process. You get swept up with booking your creative partners and just checking things off of your list. And I'm sure it's probably easy just to kind of skim past that and just like want to check off a box. But it is so important to meet with them, whether that is in person or on Zoom, because like Norm had said, you need to see if they can communicate effectively, because they are going to be the ones representing you the day of. So if you get to the day of and they're not a great public speaker and or can't handle situations well, then that's going to be really rough.
Yeah, I agree. It would be really, really, really bad. So anyway, that was a lot of fun. I look forward to having those 2 dum-dums back on the episode next year. Yeah, it'd be a lot of fun.
Dum-dums is a term of endearment, by the way.
It is. Yes. Yeah. Please don't take it the wrong way.
All right. Next episode, I really want to recap Miss Bradie Flores.
Oh, that was
Flores
fun.
Events. Yeah, so episode 7. And fun fact, if you guys listen to the episode, during COVID, when I wasn't in the industry, because, we didn't have COVID events going on. Everyone has that story. But me and Bradie worked together at at an office building, just a really random job, but that's how I met her. And we kind of bonded over weddings because that's kind of both where our backgrounds came from. And Bradie was getting ready to launch Flores events at that time as well. But it was really fun catching up with her and just getting her take on things. That was a really fun episode too.
Yeah. So her topic was how to handle wedding stress like a pro. And I think she was a pro in telling us how to handle that stress, right?
Oh, totally. And yeah, just some key takeaways from that episode. We talked about managing your top stress points. So I know Bradie touched on like your budget, your timeline, external expectations from family and friends, kind of juggling that. Setting boundaries, which was so important. And I know we kind of touched that on another episode too, but one of my favorite things that she said, which was my top takeaway from that episode, was having an automated response when family or friends ask you about the wedding planning, like, how's it going? Have you done this yet? Have you booked that yet? And you just have an automated response ready to go. Like, you know what? No, we haven't thought about that, but our wedding planner is on it. Bradie said it's kind of like an out of office, right? Because it's important to set those boundaries. You don't need to be in wedding planning mode all the time.
Well, and you don't need all the opinions from everyone as well. So that was, I really liked that. That was a really good takeaway. So have an out of office ready to go.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, and Kevin, you had said too, like your top takeaway was like, we set boundaries with our clients and our couples, like they should do that with us too. So, not everything is super time sensitive, like take a day off. I think Bradie had said too, like no wedding Wednesdays. Like we don't talk about wedding stuff on Wednesdays. And I know, Kevin, you've given that piece of advice a few times, like have a date where you leave the wedding talk at home.
I think it's good to have both. You go out and have dinner and maybe it's like more of like a business meeting, work on the wedding, but then you have another day in the week where it's no weddings. We're just going to work on our relationship and date and have fun and enjoy each other, not the whole stress of the wedding.
Yeah, I agree. Because, I mean, it's a lot. It's a big undertaking. And just like anyone else, you deserve some time off. Turn that out of office on and just enjoy life. And she had a lot of really good nuggets. I think what she said specifically was wedding planning happens around life, not the other way around. So don't feel like wedding planning has to be the forefront of everything at all times. Life happens around it. So you just have to be okay with that.
Yep. And I think it's the first real test of planning this wedding. It's the first real big test of a couple. So you guys are going to find out how you guys are going to do on the other side. So good luck to all of you out there. So, all right, moving on. I'm going to move on to episode 11, Mr. Adam, from Adam's point of view. Yeah. And we talked about finding the right photographer to make sure your photos feel like you, which is something that I struggle with when I have my photo taken. I look at it and I'm like, that's not me. So I was really excited to talk to Adam about this. And actually, Adam, throughout the episode, made me feel so comfortable that I will be reaching out to Adam in the new year because I need headshots. I need new headshots. Yes, I need new headshots. And I feel like Adam will make me feel comfortable. And I feel like, but it was silly and fun. So I'm keeping with the silly and fun theme that we had going on there. But anyway, so he talked about some of the top takeaways was building trust through engagement shoots, which I thought was really important. And I think that's where a lot of couples will hire a photographer, but not work with them. Because I think that's a great time for photographers to get to know you, but also you get to know your photographer. And that, and that is really, because I've heard of couples that have hired a photographer, did an engagement shoot, fired the photographer and went on to a different photographer because they learned they weren't compatible. So I think it's almost worth it to start with the engagement shoot, make sure you are compatible, and then get the photos and do you like what they look like? Do you feel comfortable in them? Then we go on and move the photographer. But also he talked about creating a calm and comfortable environment, which if you know Adam, he makes weddings even more fun than they need to be. He's the life of the party. He rolls with all the punches that come his way. He does a really, really great job. And then prioritizing personality alignment. So choose a photographer who aligns with you and your personality and your vision, as this relationship is key in capturing genuine, meaningful moments. That's you got to remember. You're going to look back at, at your 50th anniversary, you're going to look back at your wedding photos, right? And remember that amazing day with your dog standing by your side.
Yeah, I like how you said too, like, he just makes you feel comfortable. I mean, I think listening back to that episode too, that was definitely what we all kind of had as our key takeaway. And there was a couple things that he said that really stood out to me, because I think during the episode I had asked him, like me, myself, I sometimes feel awkward in photos, or, watching couples take photos in the past. They're always like, what do I do with my hands? Like, how am I standing? How am I posing? And Adam was like, it's always my goal to put you in positions that you feel natural in, right? Like, he's like, I'm not going to position you in a position that you've never done with your partner before, right? Like whispering sweet nothings in her ear, or like being all contorted in some position,
Yeah, with the bride turned sideways, looking back, leaning. It's just like, they always.
Yeah,
sometimes you see them, photographers, making the bride or the groom do something, or the couple do something that's just not comfortable to them and not natural.
Yeah. So he said, like, we'll start off with you two holding hands and just walking along the beach or wherever you're at. And that's already a very natural pose for most couples. So that's where he'll start with, just to get you comfortable and kind of go from there. And I really like that. And of course, that will translate in the photo too, right? Like, if you're comfortable during the shoot, the photo's just going to look that much better and more natural.
Yeah.
And,
then, no, I was just going to say, and once you feel more comfortable, he's going to work up to the Cirque du Soleil moves as well.
There you go. Yeah. Baby steps. Yeah, no, but I really like that episode too. Adam was, great to have on, and he's a really cool guy. And I think he just in general is a very comfortable person to be around. So I think he definitely found his calling as a photographer.
Yeah, I really do too. He like I said, working a wedding with him, he's one of my favorites to work with. And it just because he makes the day fun for the couple, he makes the day fun for all the family, he makes the day fun for just, even all the vendors that are there working on the wedding day. It just, he is definitely a lot of fun. So good job. Anything else on Adam?
Nope.
Is it your turn or my turn? I lost track.
It's my turn. You chose Adam.
Thank God.
Well, I'm just going to go right down the list to episode 12, because I really want to do more of these episodes. But episode 12 was our listeners asked. So we basically compiled all of the questions that we've received so far from you, our listeners, and any questions that you might have about wedding planning or anything in the wedding process in general, we answered. So we still have more to go. So we definitely want to do another episode soon.
Yeah, we'll be doing one in January for sure.
Yeah, but please send in your questions. We're so happy to answer them and go through them with you. And if you want us to, kind of touch more on a past question too, we can elaborate more if need be. But send them to our email, podcast@fantasysound.com.
Oh, very good. Good plug. Because I was going to ask you, August, where can they submit those questions to?
Where can they submit those questions? And we're working on getting our website up too, to where we can have
questions
a place for
there.
you. Exactly. Yes. And
coming soon in 2025.
You guys know I'm the brand manager. I'm on Instagram, so you can always send them through Instagram too if you prefer.
DMs. Slip into my DMs.
Yeah. But we had a lot of good topics. So we talked about like how early is too early to start planning your wedding. We talked about simplifying your bridal party while still keeping it meaningful. We talked about kids again, +1. Kind of retouched on that subject. Staying stress-free. Mac and cheese is the key to everything. Financial help, asking for that without it being awkward. And then talking about timelines and setting out the save the dates invitation. So if any of that stands out to you, go back to episode 12 and we'll answer those questions.
And we won't be wearing these Happy New Year hats. We'll look normal.
No, yeah.
But speaking
Kevin, I was going to say, what's another episode that we were wearing hats in?
I was going to say, I hope you're thinking the same one. Disney, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I don't We wore hats in another episode.
Well, and I wasn't wearing a hat in Disney. I had I wore my...
You had a hoodie.
Well, I had my Mickey Mouse hoodie with my ears, but it looked silly with my headphones on, so I didn't wear it. So anyway, so speaking of that, I spoke at a conference in Orlando, Florida for the Central Orlando, Florida Wedding Association. I forget the whole title of them, but they have their big conference in August, and they asked me to be a guest speaker, and Chuck was in the audience, and I mentioned that our podcast, and we're always looking for guests, and Chuck submitted. And I was so happy he did, because he was such a pleasure to interview, and it was so much fun. Yeah, because we're both Disney nerds. I have Magic Pass, and we, go, and August goes when she can. But anyway, she has a dog that she has to take care of, and it's really expensive, that Mochi. But anyway, we love Disney. So it was fun to get that behind the scenes, how a Disney wedding happens, like learning, like what kind of music can you play, what music he can't play. He definitely had stuff he couldn't do, and he couldn't even start DJing the wedding until the guests were out of the park. And it was like they could, because it sounds like a lot of them happen in Epcot, and so they could be in over in because they go by countries. So say they're over in Italy, right? Until that guest walks out of the entrance, that's when he could start playing music. He gets the clear all, and boom, go. It was amazing, because everything, as expected, is very orchestrated when it comes to Disney, and that's it. He made it sound like it, but it was just talked about the guest experience, which was amazing. He emphasized the importance of focusing on guest enjoyment, and how to put in those personal touches, like Minnie and Mickey helping you cut the cake, right? Remember, he was told us about that one. That sounded amazing. But he talked all the magic of Disney and the logistics of it, also customizing the entertainment and avoiding trends. So that was the other thing he talked about as well. So that was an amazing episode. I thought we had a lot of fun.
I love that episode. I felt like I was in Disneyland. Like, he was he was just really good at illustrating things, I think. And I felt, not to be dramatic, but transported to the parks. Like, it was just so much fun. It was it was great. And it was really cool to see how he could also translate that Disney magic into any wedding. So if you guys are Disney fans, or you just can't appreciate how organized and amazing Disney is as a company, even if you're not super big on Disney, Chuck kind of gave us a way to harness that magic into any wedding, even if it's not at a Disney park. And it was just so fun to get the scoop, the behind the scenes, the secrets. Like, I loved all of it.
Yeah. Well, and his voice was very Disney. Like, he already has that Disney, like, I can hear him doing voiceovers for the rides or all that kind, like, he really definitely had that Disney voice. But he like, to your point, August, so he was, making sure you tell your story. That's what it was about. This is the one time in your life that you get to tell your story out in front of all your family and friends, and just making sure you do that, and making sure you give your guests, something that they'll remember and walk away with some memorable moments. So yeah.
I know. And kind of the perfect theme for Disney, right? Telling your story. Like, it was just, overall great talk. Really liked that one.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. All right, girl. We're getting up on time, so we got to go fast now.
All right. I do want to do one more.
Rapid fire.
I do want to do one more, which was episode 14. Just because this is a new segment that we like to introduce to the podcast, and Meg, my friend, was kind of our guinea pig for this new segment that we're calling Now That I'm Married, How Can I Help Others? So Meg is one of my good childhood friends. We've been friends for over 15 years, and she just got married. I did give a speech.
Mentioned her boss.
It was terrifying. Yeah, no. The DJ at the wedding knew Kevin, and I hadn't met him before, but he was like, I'm going to tell Kevin about this. And I was like, oh, good. Oh, good. Great. But yeah, anyway, I was one of her bridesmaids, and Lindsay had the idea of like, hey, why don't we bring on some past couples, brides, grooms, and have them give their perspective as a freshly married person. So I thought that was awesome. So Meg was our guinea pig. We brought her on. We talked about her wedding she just had this past August at the Brazilian Room. We kind of went over some do's and don'ts. And kind of what she took from her experience during the planning process. So even if, you're kind of looking for perspective from someone who isn't an expert like Kevin and I, maybe you're just looking for perspective from someone who, didn't really have a huge background in weddings and got married themselves, and you just kind of want to hear it from someone like that, then it's a great segment to listen to.
Yeah, and I think it was fun to hear it from another couple, like, and go through, like another bride that got married and what were, some of the things that they struggled with as a couple. I think I'm glad we'll be doing more of those in 2025. All right, I'm going to mention another one since we're on rapid fire real quick. So one, Jen from Weirdo Wedding Photography out of the Dallas area was on there and talked about courthouse weddings are not boring. And it was amazing because when she pitched the topic to us, I was like, in a million years, I never thought we would talk about courthouse weddings. But you know what? She actually made them not boring. And for those of you that are just planning a wedding but not looking for the big elaborate wedding, Jen made it sound like you can have a a small, intimate, but beautiful wedding. That's what I was trying to get out of my mouth. But, she talked about the beauty of the courthouses themselves and personalizing the day through, your attire and your details, which we learned is going to be a trend next year, is the attire, going with the embroidery suits and all that kind of different thing. And then making the day memorable with some creative ideas, like incorporating elements like mini photo shoots at your favorite locations or meaningful accessories to add magic to that day. But that was a fun episode. I really, when she pitched it, I would have never looked for someone to talk about courthouse weddings, but I'm glad we covered that. That was fun. Episode 10.
Yeah, I like that one too. And I think I think we can kind of get away from that sometimes. Like, I mean, especially like Fantasy Sound or just the type of weddings we work, they do end up more than not being this very huge production, and you can kind of get lost in the sauce there. But I think Jen kind of brought it back to the basics, right? That simplicity is still beautiful. So even if you are having a more intimate gathering or a courthouse wedding or elopement, there's still ways to make that unique to yourself, make it personal to your love story, and just, show up to the courthouse as you. And it was really fun. Yeah, I think we learned a lot. And, I've never been involved with elopements or courthouse weddings, so it was really cool to get her perspective on it.
Well, and she made me want, I would do that. And she made me I would want her to do my photography. She made it sound fun, a lot of fun.
Yeah. Another photographer who I felt super comfortable around. She was a good vibe. She was really fun. Yeah.
I'm going to sneak in one more.
Rapid fires?
Your rapid fire. So episode 2, we had Jinger from the Flower House on, and this was pre-August.
Pre-August. Yeah. I did listen to the episode though, and I did take away a few things.
Good, because it's true. So Jinger from the Flower House was talking about when couples let Instagram plan their wedding, right? And that's where I think a lot of couples go wrong, because they're following, instead of making how Jen just talked about, telling your story, right? And making it about you. That's where I think if you let Instagram, you're telling everyone else's story. So it was a lot of fun. So personalizing your inspiration, balancing the budget and vision, because sometimes if you're looking at these Instagram weddings, it's going to help you go over budget by far, right? And then designing beyond the trends. So not just sticking to everything you're seeing on Instagram. Let's, again, tell your story, get a little bit more involved, So she gave us guidance on, choosing colors and themes and styles that resonate with the couple.
Yeah, there was 2 little nuggets that she said that really resonated with me. Yeah, no, I was doing my homework. Don't worry.
You go, girl.
But Ginger said, stop thinking and just feel when it comes to your wedding decor, right? And she also said, you have to stay true to who you are and you'll love your wedding forever. So I think that's, kind of the point of the whole episode was I think couples do rely on Instagram and Pinterest just a little bit too much.
Mm-hmm.
And they have this, big elaborate vision, but really it's just not who they are, And I think she referenced in the episode too, she was talking about this couple that had a fall wedding, right? And they were looking into fall colors like oranges, reds, browns. And then Jinger had set up like a tablescape for them, and they said they hated it. And then she kind of just had to take them back to square one. Like, are these even colors that you guys wear? Are these even colors that you guys like? And eventually they landed on something that they really love. So just stop thinking and just feel. Like, what do you really want to see? And what do you really love?
And that's a good advice in life, period. Stop thinking and just feel.
It's not that deep, guys. Yeah. I say that too much.
It's not that deep, guys. All right. Should we sneak in one quick one? Because I thought it was important.
Sure.
All right, Dan.
From Dan.
Good old Palma Event Center in Costa Real, Dan, came in and talked about navigating family dynamics during the wedding planning process. Which, so if you're struggling with family dynamics, which a lot of people are, I recommend you go back and listen to episode 4, because Dan did a good job of guiding us through. But the biggest thing we talked about was establishing clear communication, period. That helps with that. Setting boundaries early on, like from the get-go, right?
From the get-go.
Yep. And then Dan's was seeking professional guidance. So hiring the right vendors and the right team for your wedding day to help you guys get through. And that'll help you with all the navigating the family dynamics. So like having Adam at your wedding to take the photos, because he can handle all the family dynamics that are coming your way. So
yeah, really do lean on your team. They're there for a reason. They're there to help, and you're not in this alone. So I know during the process it can seem like you said, Kevin, there's a lot of opinions unwarranted, but your vendor team, your creative partner team is there to help. So lean on them if you can.
So if we didn't mention the episode, we still love it, but it was a good recap.
We love all our children.
We love all our children. But let's a good look back, a good recap of 2024 as we...
So cool.
Tonight at midnight, we'll be putting 2024 to bed. And as we start for 2025. So I'm not going to ask you what your New Year's resolution is. We'll let that be a mystery. I think that's a good thing to be.
I have a lot, actually. I think I did this last year, and I kind of want to do it again this year where I wrote them all down. But someone said that you should like burn them because it's like a way to manifest it, like you're releasing it into the universe, So I kind of want to do that. But I kind of want to do some personal goals, but also professional goals as well. So I definitely want to be more, what's the word? It'll come to me.
Diligent? I don't know.
Nope.
That was
purposeful.
That was my guess. Purposeful?
There's a synonym for purposeful.
Meaningful?
Something like,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I failed freshman English, so that's why I'm good with
that's
design.
my strong suit. So I'm just messed.
Yeah, that's all you, man. So, all right. Well, everyone. Oh, that was horrible, but fun.
Happy New Year.
We made it. Happy New Year, everyone. We made it. So thank you for coming along the journey with us, and we look forward to guiding you through Now That I'm Engaged. How the hell? Ooh, that's what we need to do. Change the name. How the hell do I get married? Yeah. Let's hot take.
That's season 2.
So, yeah. There we go. As we go into 2025. But thank you folks for coming along with us. August, thank you. You make the show better, because if I was doing it by myself, it would be really, really bad. So
that's not true. But thanks.
You just make it more fun. That's what it is. Anyway, folks, Happy New Year. We can't say it enough. We can't say enough thank yous for coming along the journey with us. And we hope you find all the love and prosper in 2025.
Retweet.
Tweet. Bye, guys.
Bye.
To our listeners, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Now That I'm Engaged, How Do I Get Married podcast, brought to you by Fantasy Sound Event Services. I hope you've enjoyed listening to this episode. Please get in touch with me if you have a topic you would like us to cover, or if you are struggling with your wedding planning. Please be sure to submit a question at podcast@fantasysound.com. I encourage you to check out our other episodes on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you're a fan, we'd love if you would subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. It helps others find our podcast so they can learn from our guests too. And to everyone listening, happy wedding planning.